If you're getting into hand tool woodworking, a saw bench should be one of your first projects. A bench like this is small and doesn't take a lot of wood, and once you've built one, it'll transform the rest of your woodworking projects. Because making big cuts at a saw bench is faster and less tiring. It's more accurate because you're always right on top of your cut line, and it uses your body's natural mechanics to protect you from injury. Sawing at a saw bench is much kinder on your lower back. And I already have a saw bench design that I really like. But the more I looked at it, the more I thought, you know what? This isn't good for a beginner. To make this saw bench, you already need to know how to plane and square up lumber. You need to know how to cut angles and even joinery. And I even made this saw bench using my big stand-up workbench, which beginning woodworkers don't have. This whole thing is ridiculous, and it needs to go. And we're going to replace it with something much better. I've got a new design that's dirt simple and ready for the beginner. This is my quick and dirty saw bench, and it's going to get you woodworking. It's got no planing and no joinery. All you need to do is cross-cut some 2x4s and then glue and screw them together. It's a fast build with the bare minimum tools. But we do need to do a lot of sawing, so how do you make a saw bench without a saw bench? On a 5-gallon bucket, or 2 if you have them. They're the perfect height and plenty stable. Then we just need 3 8-foot 2x4s, and we're ready to build. We're going to cut one of our 2x4s into thirds and use that for the top of our bench. After I measure 32 inches, I'll strike a line with my speed square and carry that line down the edge. Now, I'm ready to cut. Now, if you've never cross-cut a board before, it's not difficult, but it is a skill that requires some practice. So be easy on yourself if the first couple of them are a little bit ragged. By the end of this project, you'll be really good at making square crosscuts. I've got my 2 lines across the face and edge of the board, and I've got the cut outside of my bucket, so I won't cut into it when I'm sawing. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put my left knee right on top of my board. I'm going to put my left hand right near the line and use the knuckle of my left thumb to get my saw right on the corner between my 2 lines. Then I'm going to pull back twice, and that's going to make a little notch here that we call a kerf, and that's going to get my saw started straight. I'm going to start sawing this, keeping the saw at about a 45-degree angle and following both of these lines at the same time so the saw stays straight in both directions. And as I get toward the end of the cut, I'm going to reach around with my left hand and support the offcut so that it doesn't splinter as I finish. With all the pieces cut, I can line them up on my buckets. Your wood will probably have a smooth side and a rough side. Put the rough side up, clamp the boards together, and flip the whole thing so your clamp is underneath and your good side is facing up. Measure 14.5 inches from one end and use your square to make a line. That's where our first batten is going to go. You'll need 3 battens, and they're each 10 inches long. Cut all 3 of them at the same time and put one of them right against that line. Trace the far side so you know where to drill your screw holes. Drill 3 holes between those 2 lines and put each one right in the middle of the 2x4. Then you can put your center batten on one bucket and another batten on the second bucket, just as a spacer. Put your top on the battens, make sure that center batten lines up, and drive in 3 screws. And you can't see it here because I did it off camera, but I also put glue between the battens and the top. Now, the center batten we just installed isn't exactly centered. It's a little close to this end. This is our 14.5 inch measurement. I'm going to label this end B, and then this end is a little further away. I'm going to label this end A. A and B are going to be important throughout the rest of the build, but the legs we're building on side A also look like a capital letter A, so that's convenient. When you're installing your end battens at A and B, don't put them right at the end like I did here. I messed up. You want those battens to be 1.5 inches from the end of the top. So I'm going to unscrew that batten, drill fresh holes, and screw that batten back in with that 1.5 inch gap. And don't forget to put glue in that joint. I had to go back and add it later. With the batten screwed on, I can put my top on my buckets, and it's kind of like a little workbench. The world's crappiest workbench, but it's a start. At the end we've labeled A, the legs are splayed to make the bench extra stable for cross-cutting, and that means we're going to need to cut angles into the ends of these legs, and that can seem intimidating, but we're going to make it easy. Using my speed square, I'm just going to measure 3/4 of an inch up from one end of my 2x4 and connect that measurement to the corner of the board. That's going to give me the perfect angle with no protractor or anything. To get these angles right, it's really helpful to just have the plans. Our plans are always inexpensive, but right now they're extra cheap because all of our plans are half off until Christmas, and you can check those out at rexkrueger.com. And if you've never made an angled crosscut before, don't worry, it's a lot like doing a straight crosscut. First, I'm going to carry my line across the edge of this board. That's always important for staying on track. Now, making the cut is pretty much the same thing. Left hand right next to my line, knuckle of my thumb braces the saw, and I'm going to make that kerf by pulling back. And this time, I'm just going to make sure the saw is lined up with both of my layout lines at the same time, keep it at about 45 degrees, and carry on through the cut, supporting the offcut with my left hand so I don't get chip out. To attach the angled legs, I'm going to drill 3 holes in the end of the leg, stand the top up in a convenient position, dab on a little glue, and run those screws in. And it's the exact same thing for the other leg. A little glue, and screw it in. And if you're wondering about screw holes and drilling, we're using 2.5-inch coated deck screws for this build. They're great and they're inexpensive. All of our connections have what's called a clearance hole in the top board. That's a hole straight through, and then we can run the screw right through the top board and directly into the bottom board with no pilot hole or anything. To drill your clearance hole, you need a drill bit that's just a tiny bit bigger than the threads of your screw. So for me, my drill bit is 13/64, but you don't need to measure or look it up or anything. Just look at your screw and pick a drill bit that's a tiny bit bigger than the threads, and it'll be perfect. Those angled legs are going to need a stretcher for support, so I'm laying the last piece of my second 2x4 right on top of the legs and tracing the legs onto the stretcher. Then I can make those angled cuts, add some glue, and screw that stretcher in place. Now, of course, the plans have lengths for the legs on the other side of your bench, but when you're doing angled legs on this side, things can go wrong. The height might not be exactly perfect. So if you want to get these legs exactly the right length, one thing you can do is take an inexpensive level, put it on the seat just like this, adjust the bench until that bubble is in between the 2 lines, and then measure the distance to the floor. That way, you're guaranteed to have exactly the right length legs over here, and your bench will be nice and level. Then again, you could just do what it says in the plans, and 99% of the time, that's going to be perfect too. Once you've done the angled legs at A, the straight legs on side B are a snap. We are going to cut 2 pieces from our final 2x4, just straight cuts, no angles. These pieces get glued and screwed into the batten at B, and these straight legs also need a stretcher. It's just a short piece that gets glued and screwed on the inside of the legs. Now, this is looking a lot like a saw bench, but it's much too wobbly the way it is. When we were first designing this saw bench, I thought we were just going to connect the 2 sets of legs with a single straight stretcher down here. But no matter how we did that, the bench was still much too wobbly. So we redesigned it for 2 diagonal braces that connect the legs directly to the seat. This construction gives us 2 right triangles integrated into the design of the bench, and these shapes are incredibly rigid and sturdy. They're also still really easy to build. We're going to start right now by connecting the stretcher at B to this center batten. And you don't have to measure or anything. Just clamp your last piece of wood so it touches the stretcher and the batten. Make sure everything is lined up and then trace both angles on the inside. Make these angled cuts, and you can even use your saw bench if you want. It's sturdy enough by now. This piece needs to be pretty exact in length, so I cut mine a tiny bit long, checked it, and trimmed about a 1/2 inch off. Remember, taking wood off is a lot easier than putting it back. And with a good fit, you're just screwing through the stretcher and into the brace and doing the same thing up at the batten. Now, it would be great if we could install the second diagonal brace as easily as this first one. The problem is we have this set of splayed legs. If we take this last piece of wood and try to lay it in place, it's always going to be at an awkward angle, and we're never going to be able to trace the piece accurately. But don't worry, there's still a straightforward way of putting in this last piece. To get that brace installed, we're going to clamp it temporarily so that it touches the lower stretcher on the A side. Then I'll use any straight edge to transfer the angle of that stretcher onto my board. After I saw that angle, I can hold the board against the stretcher and trace the angle where it crosses the other diagonal brace. After I saw this last cut, I can glue and screw into the first diagonal brace. We're connecting it here because it's so much easier than trying to hit the angle of the batten, and joining those two braces face to face is going to give us an extremely strong connection. And we'll finish it off by screwing into the other end of the brace through that stretcher, and your saw bench is done. You've seen how approachable this build is. Almost anyone can do it. Now let me show you why this is the correct design for a new woodworker. First, we've got splayed legs, and these are really important for cross-cutting. Anytime you're cutting a board, to make it shorter, your strokes go in this direction. You're putting a ton of force over and across the seat of the bench, and that makes it very likely to tip. Splayed legs are going to keep it stable even if you're working aggressively, like a lot of beginners tend to do. And we actually built 3 different versions of this bench with 3 different amounts of splay. The bench you see me building in the video has the most splay, but I was worried that one was going to be a tripping hazard. So we built another one with a narrower angled set of legs. We found that this is just as stable but much safer for the shop. So this version is the one in the plans. Of course, that might leave you wondering, if splayed legs are so good, why don't we have them on the other end? Because this end of the bench is for ripping. If you're cutting a long board to make it narrower, you can't have splayed legs. If anything is sticking out under the seat of your bench, you're gonna go crashing into it with your saw. Keeping the legs tucked underneath means that anytime your cut is hanging over the edge of the bench, which is how I do all my saw cuts, you never have to worry about hitting the legs. But you also have to use this bench with a good ripping stance. You can see I'm kneeling on the work with my right knee. That's a good move. But I don't want to kneel on it up here where the bench is narrow. That's going to be tippy and unstable. I'm going to keep my weight further back over the splayed legs and make sure my other leg is a little bit out from the bench. This gives me a stable tripod stance, so I can rip confidently and it's not going to be tippy and wobbly. And having these legs tucked underneath the bench gives us another hidden benefit. Having the legs in line with the top on one end also lets our saw bench work as a mortising stool. And I know you're thinking, Rex, what the hell is a mortising stool? It is a low bench where work would be mortised. Those are the square holes for mortise and tenon joinery. Mortising stools used to be super common in furniture shops and carpentry shops all across the world. A lot of traditions use them because they're so simple and so effective. For one thing, you don't need any work holding, no vise or hold downs or anything like that, because your butt is the work holding. You sit on the work. For this example, I've put a second piece of wood next to the one I'm going to mortise because it's a lot more comfortable to sit on, but repositioning the work or knocking out the chips is a snap. You get your mortising chisel on your work in between your layout lines, and then it's very easy to strike. And you can feel the force of that strike being transmitted through the top, through these straight legs, and directly into the floor. There's no lost energy. You can rest your mallet in your lap while you reposition your chisel and then strike again. So this is an ergonomic way of working. You also have a lot of leverage for prying out those chips. If you're used to mortising at the bench, and I typically do it there too, you might think this is super weird. But you should try it. The ergonomics are excellent, and you actually go faster because sitting down lets you put more oomph into each strike. As surprising as that sounds, even if you like mortising at the bench, you might want to build something like this in order to build your workbench. Maybe you have a workbench design in mind that's going to use mortise and tenon joinery. Build a combination saw bench and mortising stool, and you'll have a place to chop those mortises. This quick and dirty saw bench is easy, inexpensive, and perfect for a beginning woodworker. But I have to admit, it's not the best saw bench I know how to build. The best one is still my English saw bench. This is my favorite design because it's got an integrated carry handle, a bird's mouth, and a storage shelf that's big enough to keep saws and squares in. This design is also the most rigid saw bench I've ever built because it's got more wood and, some actual joints in it. This is a great project, but it's not perfect for a brand new beginner. If you want to build the English saw bench, you have to be comfortable planing and squaring timber, cutting angles in boards, and cutting a couple of simple joints like half laps. If you can do that stuff, and maybe you already have a workbench, the English saw bench is a great choice. And it's an excellent value because it comes bundled with my Swedish saw bench, another efficient, traditional design that works really well. You get both of those benches in one set of plans, and it's an extra great deal right now because it's our annual plan sale. All of our plans are 50% off. You can get saw benches and workbenches. We have a bunch of designs to get you woodworking. We have our new joiner's chest, an approachable and inexpensive traditional tool chest to keep all your stuff safe, and of course, a ton of plans for traditional furniture and tools and other shop projects that you can make to improve your life as a woodworker. If you're getting going in hand tool woodworking, go on over to rexkrueger.com and check out the dozens of plans we have to help you do better work. They're all half off, but just from now until the end of December. And we're going to have one more video by the end of this year, the third installment of The Secret History of Wood. If you don't want to miss that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching.